Hi, my name is Greg Bender. I'm an account manager with Survey Analytics, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to set up a panel, an online panel, and then how to use that to integrate it with SurveySwipe, our mobile panel application available for iOS and Android. So as you can see, I've already logged into Survey Analytics, and you'll see I'm in the Panels tab. And you see right now I've got no panels created. So really, with the click of about 3 buttons, I'm going to have a panel with a web presence created. So I've come into my panels. I'm going to hit Create New Panel. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Life Metrics. I'm going to give it a heading, which is LM Fun. And go to URL, which is I'm going to call LM Test. I'm going to go to Next. Step 2 is going to ask me a question about double opt-in verification. Don't worry, you'll be able to turn off double opt-in later on. However, the industry standard is that you leave double opt-in turned on when you're doing web-based recruitment. So all this is doing is asking me the email it's coming from. It will naturally grab the email address associated with your account. It'll also grab the email name from the header that we used or the name of the panel. So I'm just going to go Finish. And your online panel life metrics has been created. As I said, 3 buttons, and I now have an online panel. So right now it's creating it. You'll see the first place it's going to take me to now is I'm still in my Panels tab, and I've come down to my Settings tab, my Settings control. I have a URL for this panel, lmtestcommunity.surveyanalytics.com. I've got a recruitment page. I do have the ability to change the name, heading, and the default language at any time. I will point out that when you make a change, always look on the page for the Save Changes button. If you don't, your changes will not be saved, and you'll be a little disappointed when you go to look at the modifications you just made. So still on the settings page, I have this area, which is called Site HTML pages. We understand that most of our clients are not web developers, so we've tried to make a very simple, modifiable, a tool that can be modified by the average user. And you can go into any of these pages. For example, let's look at the home page. You'll see I've got the link text. This is what's going to show up. The link URL, if I've got a specific URL I want to use. I can change the title. I can decide where this page will appear. Will it be available in the main tab or the footer? The order number in which it will present. And then you'll see the actual content. So I'd like you to just take a look how MicroPanel works. This is default language. At the bottom, I will have this option to select if this section contains HTML. I also have the ability to take a quick look at this. So I'm actually going to click on this link. It's going to bring up that page so I can see it. And I just want to show you this. Free, how MicroPanel works. Okay, this is my registration and login page. Let me go back. I'm going to come back. I want to show you how easy it is to change it. So how MicroPanel works. We're going to say test modification. And we're going to save changes. I'm going to go back to that page. Pardon me. So this is where I was. I'm going to reload the page. See how fast I was able to change the content on that page? Really, I was able to modify it on the page and then refresh, and my content is updated that fast. Okay, so again, I've got my site HTML pages. So this is about the creation, the look of the online panel. And then down below this, I've got the themes and logos, so I can put in some mobile artwork. So I could put in anything that is in my image library. I'll find something kind of nice. We'll put in the Survey Analytics logo. And again, I'll follow my own advice and I'll hit Save Settings. Let's go take a look at how that did. I come back to the panel page. I reload. You now see I've put Survey Analytics up in the logo. Again, we understand most people are not web developers, so we've tried to keep this as simple as possible. Talk to your account manager about file sizes and best presentation. We're glad to help you out with that. So again, going back, most of your work's going to be done as soon as you get off of this page. The last thing you're going to want to do is look at the customized site behavior. This is actually how the online panel is going to behave. Do you want to do report sharing? Do you want to show an activity stream? Data sharing? Do you want to use LinkedIn integration or Facebook integration? Do you want to use our native rewards and point system or have online discussions? So again, these are all things that your account manager is going to talk to you during the setup, or your salesperson is going to talk to you as you're looking at acquiring the system. Again, we always make the save settings, and I'm going to pause. Okay, so what we've done here is we've set up the basic online panel. What we have not done, though, is look at the member profile. So I know how the panel is going to look and feel, but now I want to look at the types of information I want to collect from my panelist. Obviously, the types of information I collect from my panelist will determine the different ways that I can interact or sample my panelist. So I'm going to click, the next setting is member profile. You'll see I have a couple of default profile fields here, birthday and zip code. Perhaps I don't really care about birthday, so I'm going to delete that. It's going to ask me, am I sure? I'm going to say yes. But I do want to add a profile field in terms of marriage. So I'm going to go to Add New Profile Field. I'm going to call this Marital Status. And I should probably learn to capitalize a little better. And I'm going to use the title as the label. I'm going to choose the type of profile field it is. In this case, I'm going to do single select or multi-select. I think for marital status, single select is probably the safest of all options. And then I get to choose, do I want to do a scale library? Yes, no. I'm going to use a scale library. I'm going to make it a drop down, and I'm going to say single, married. Again, I have a real hard time with capitalization. Married, separated, widowed, or divorced. Okay, make sure I spell that properly. Now I've got a couple of other options I can make on my member profile field. I can force validation, which makes sure that people have to answer this before they join the panel. I may have some information that I actually don't want the panelists to know about, so I can make it a hidden field. Some of these additional settings, conditional logic, confidence score, or the ability to assign it to a custom variable, we'll talk about in more advanced settings. Right now I'm just going to create that field and I'm going to go to Save Changes. So now you'll see I have marital status is right there. We'll talk later about profiling surveys. These are opportunities that you can set up surveys to have existing and new panelists fill out if you've got a lot of profile fields. A default survey is a survey that a respondent or a panelist will see the very first time they log in. So, but having created the marital status, let's go register for this panel. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Settings. I'm going to go to my recruitment URLs, you'll see right here, and I'm going to go to Preview. It'll call up a page, the logo. There is the field I just created, marital status. I'm going to say that I am a divorced individual. My zip code is 45213. And you notice that it's got actual verification right there. First name is Greg, last name is Bender, and I will use my greg.bender@surveyanalytics.com, and my password I will use a kind of a company standard, and I'm going to go to continue. What did it like? My email address already exists. So what I'll do is this. I'm going to change it. I'm going to go greg@lmtest.com. Okay. Now it's important to note that I didn't change one setting. So, okay, it's now confirm your email address. So I just used a fake email address. It's going to tell me that it's not going to understand who I am, but I'll fix that in the back end. Here is my panel. Any surveys would be there, my rewards, my profile, my accounts. I have the ability to modify all of these pages in the Settings tab. This is my online panel. So let me go and look at my member profile, and I will verify my user. That way we're able to play. So I go to Members. I should have one user or two users there now. Okay, so now I'm in my member section under users. I've gone to the members, and you'll see that I can do a search for any of my members, but you'll see my members that are already in here. You'll see the user I just registered, Greg@LMTest, is new. The status is new. It's not verified. So I'm going to click on this user. I'm going to verify this individual without having to go through the double opt-in process. Right now it's new unverified, so I'm going to go to verified, and I'm going to go to save changes. I think there's a good point to talk about the email preferences and how to use them. So, of course, under Member Profile, where we just created that marital status profile, you'll now see the email preferences. This is where you control how you communicate with your panelist. So first of all, you'll see the from email address. It's always going to grab, like I said, the default address that the account was set up on. You do have the ability to change it, and it will be specific to the panel, as well as the from name. There is a new user email verification, so this is double opt-in. Enabled opt-in verification for email and web signups. You have the ability to modify the text, modify the email. We will also send the verification link and the member password. Okay. We have a welcome email, which if you don't use double opting, you can still send your new panelist a welcome email, inviting them to do any number of things. Again, this is content that you create, the subject line, the email text. It does support HTML. We also have the refer a friend template. If you always want to have your panels go viral, so you want to be able to invite friends through our refer a friend template. Finally, on this page, it's important to note that we're going to help you manage the panel health. And by panel health, we mean it's important to have a panel. It's important to have active and vibrant communication with them, but you can communicate too much. You can ask too much of your panelist, and part of that's going to be based upon the level of rewards that you're providing, but also just their engagement. So we have some basic rules here. The resting period, this means that if you set this at 5 days, it means that an individual panelist will not be able to receive a new survey except for once every 5 days. They will not be included in the sample that's created if you've sent them out a survey in the last 5 days. Sample limit. You can actually say that I only want to say only 100 people are going to be invited to respond to a project. I may have a sample of 500,000 people, and I may have 10,000 that qualify to take the survey, but because of the nature of the way you want to do business, you only want to send out 100 at a time. We give you the ability to automatically manage that. Actually, this is a tool to help you eliminate classic errors in terms of over-communicating or over-extending to your panel. Or the user project. I can say that I only want my panelists to respond to X number of projects per month. Finally, there's the administrative notifications, and this is if you're going to use our reward system. It's really important to know that this fulfillment email does not default to your account. You may have an individual in your account, another email address, or a third-party fulfillment company. You want to have their email address there. So we've gone through setting up the panel itself, the member profile, and email preferences. Really, the next thing to start talking about is how to send out an invitation. So let's do that right now. I mentioned that I want to send an invitation out to my panel. Now, our invitations will go to email by default, as well as appear in the online panel. But as we move forward, we're also going to talk about SurveySwipe and the push notifications that will appear on your phone and how you'll be able to take them there. But let's start off simple first. First of all, let's see who's in this panel. At this point, I've got 3 people. To show you how the email functionality works, I'm going to use this email address, the greg.bender@surveyanalytics.com. So let's go simply send out an invitation. So we're going to go up to the top, and we're going to go to New Invitation. And I'm going to, first thing is I have to choose a survey. So we will do New NPS, New Net Promoter Score. It's important to give your subjects an email. So New NPS, sample. I can customize my email. By the way, I can also go to the lower left-hand side where I've got my email invitations under Global Settings, and I can create a whole series of invitations. Again, these are HTML capable. You'll see over here the ability to use custom variables, very important. And while I'm sending out this survey, I can assign the number of points, and I'm going to assign 10 points to it. If I was selling sample from my panel, I would establish points for completes, quotas, or terminate. I also will put in the survey length. In this case, I'm going to make it 0. Sticky mode allows individuals to take the survey multiple times. And I also have the functionality to deploy just to my testers, because it's important that as you're pushing out a survey to your panel, that you test it internally. As you work with me and my peers, we will tell you to test, retest, then test again, because once you push out an invitation, it's potentially going to 1 to 1 million people. So I simply go to next step here. You'll see I've got the count of active members in my panel, and this is how I'm going to sample. So I could type in the email address here. I could enter the panel member IDs. I could filter by whether or not they've completed their profile. So let's do that. Completed the profile. And I'm going to go down to the very bottom of the page. I'm going to hit Update Count. Only one person has completed their profile in this panel. Well, that makes sense because you've seen everything I've done in this panel. I can also sort by state, zip code, marital status. So I'm going to say divorced. And I will do an update count, and I get one person. In this case, I'm going to keep it very simple. I simply want to send the email to my greg.bender@surveyanalytics.com. So again, I'm going to go to update count. I've got a count of 1. I go to next step. We'll talk about sample selection and subsampling later, but I do have the ability to schedule the delivery of this invitation for now or in the future. I'm going to do it for immediate. I am not going to do iPhone notification or silent no email push. Silent no email push is how you push surveys to people with SurveySwipe loaded onto their phone only. This will not allow an email to go out. It will only push it out to panelists who have the application installed on their phone. Finally, I'm going to go to final preview. I still have my count there. I've got the email message. I kind of have a history of what I'm doing, so that way I know exactly what I'm doing. And I go to process delivery. Great. Now I go to view history, and I'll be able to go in and see the history of this particular project. 1, completion rate, etc. So next I'm going to go look at my email, and I should have a new email there in a minute. And I get new email. I apologize. There it is. Life metrics, new NPS sample. I click on it. It now tells me, here's the invitation I sent out. There's a link to start the survey, the number of points, and my existing balance for this particular user. Please note, unsubscribe will be there forever. That is part of the CAN spam compliance. You always need to allow your panelists the ability to unsubscribe to your panel. In this case, though, I'm not going to hit the start survey just yet. I would like to take a look at it online. I want to show you how it's going to present. So I'm going to go back up to settings. I'm going to go to this URL. I'm going to log in. And I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to log in with my Greg Bender at Survey Analytics. But I forgot my password. So watch. I'm going to type in that email. I'm going to hit submit address. It's going to send me an email here. Pardon me. I get my email. There it is. Life metrics, reset password. It's going to ask me to reset my password. Here we go. New password. I'm entering it as we speak. I go to change password. It logs me in. So when I go to my online panel and I look at my surveys tab, there's the survey invitation, new NPS. Or I also got it in my email. So now I can go to your panelists have the ability to get their surveys by logging into the panel, by getting an email pushed to them, or, as we're going to advance down the road, having it actually pushed directly to their smartphone. So let's actually leave that survey there, and let's start talking about how to set up SurveySwipe to work with Survey Analytics. So the very first thing is we need to set up SurveySwipe. So I'm going to go, the first place I'm going to go to, new invitation history sample. I would like to go to my points and rewards. I need to establish if I'm going to use points. And under the points system, there's this little tiny button. It says SurveySwipe Mobile Community. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to save changes. There's also where I can establish points. If you remember, that user, Greg Bender, had 10 points. I hadn't done anything. The only thing I'd done was it signed up, so it gave me my 10 points automatically. This is also where I can implement my rewards inventory. Currently, we work with Giftango, but I have the ability to see these customs. These are all personal things that you would fulfill yourself, or you can use the Giftango rewards program. You need to talk to your account manager about that. There's a setup fee, and you need to fund the gifts. But to be very clear, Survey Analytics does not perform fulfillment. You would either need to manage fulfillment of rewards yourself or work with one of our integrated rewards partners. So in this case, I've done what I want to do there by hitting the SurveySwipe mobile community and hitting my Save Changes. Now I'm going to go down to the modules and select SurveySwipe. I'm going to look at a few things. I'm going to call this LM, or we'll just call it Life Metrics. We're going to create this for iPhone, and I'm going to register a new API key. I got that error. It's okay. I'm going to click away because I'm in the wrong login. I'm going to go back to SurveySwipe. I now have a new device key that's relevant. I'm going to put in my Survey Analytics logo again, which is the essay logo. I'm sorry, I want that to be my essay logo. So this is me just setting it up. I want you to notice how quick this is going to go. Right now I also have my customized mobile modules, where you'll see surveys, profiles, communities, discussion, rewards, games, hyperlocal surveys. These are all the things that I can set for SurveySwipe. In this case, I'm going to turn off games. I'm going to turn off hyperlocal surveys. I'm going to leave on surveys, profiles, rewards. Okay. I'm also going to do my RSS feed. I really love that. And I'm going to turn on life metrics. And I'm going to turn on prompt for default languages and diary. I'm going to save my settings. And I'm going to bring up my iOS emulator. I'm actually going to do it as my iPhone. As you'll see, I've got it right here. And I'll just show you on the screen. You would go to the iTunes store in this case, or the Google Play Store to download the application. I've downloaded it, and I come in and I have my splash screens here. If you're looking at a white labeled app, all these splash screens are customizable. I can put in whatever artwork you would like, so you could do your own marketing or advertising, your own messaging. And the user's got the ability to create an account or log in. It's important when using the generic SurveySwipe application that you work with your account manager if you would like your own panelists to be able to use the generic SurveySwipe application. Most cases, most users will come and set up a white labeled application that will make recruiting to the mobile application much easier. Okay, folks, so one more thing I want to do before I use these generic SurveySwipe applications, I want to make sure I've got a list of appropriate panelists who will have direct access to the application. So I have gone into my export import data, and you'll see I've got bulk import users. This is a really useful tool if you've got an existing panel or you want to bring them into our tool. Please note that when I do this, I always make sure that I've turned off my double opt-in. And I actually want to show you. I'm going to turn on double opt-in. I'm going to save the changes, and I want to show you that we actually give you a very big warning for this. So you'll see the changes been made. Now I go to import export, and in big red letters, note double opt-in verification is turned on. Everyone will receive an import verification email. It's really important that if you're updating or importing new members or you're updating existing profile fields, if you see this message, anyone that you upload will get the double opt-in email again. So I'm going to go back to email preferences. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to save the changes. I'm now going to go back to export import data, and I'm going to do import new users. You'll see the only required field to import new users is email address. In this case, so you've got optional fields, first name, last name, and password. And in this example, I'm going to import all three. And I've created a spreadsheet with email, first name, last name, and password. So I'm going to make sure it's saved. I'm going to do a save as. It's called import. It's in my download folders. I go to save. I'm going to replace the one that's there. I'm going to go in here, and it's going to ask me to choose my file. I know exactly where it's at in my downloads. There it is, import. I go to open, and I go to first column rows, header correct, and I go to import users. It says click to refresh. I'm going to give it 1 second, and then I'm going to click to refresh. Finish processing. To verify that those users are in, I'm now going to go back to members. Okay, so now I'm in Members, and I see my 3 registered users. It hasn't updated yet, but you'll see Gretchen, Andrew, Gina, and Greg B are all in there. They've all been uploaded. So now it's time to go into SurveySwipe. So I'm in SurveySwipe. I go to Login. I'm going to use my Greg B at lmtest.com. Password is test. Go log in. I get my terms of service. I agree. I agree. If you remember, I'd set to ask what my preferred language is. Here is the settings. As you'll see, I've got quite a list, and we're using the standard iOS display. I'm going to choose English, and I'm going to go done. If you remember, I turned on Life Metrics. It's important to note Life Metrics is going to collect passive data, and at this point I'm putting in another verification. The users will have the opportunity to say yes or no to this. I'm going to say yes. I now have, I'm in my Surveys tab. You can go to my Profile tab if you remember that marital status. I think right now is a good opportunity to show you one thing. If you look at my list, and I logged in, so you can see I'm logged in as Greg B at LMTest. Let's pull up Greg B at LMTest profile. Right now it's a brand new user. I've never done anything. And you'll see that I've got my panel member details. Down here, I've got current status, email. Right above this, I got my profile fields. Please note, marital status is not selected, either a zip code. I'm in my mobile application, SurveySwipe. I'm in my profile tab. I'm going to update my marital status, where Greg B is, we're going to say separated, and I select done. It's now updated on the screen. I'm going to put in my zip code, and I'm going to say it is 45213, and I go to done. So I've now updated that in my application. Now I'm going to reload this page. I want to show this to you in real time. What you now see is my marital status has been updated from the application almost instantaneously, as well as my zip code. So the next thing is, I'm in the application. I've got my communities tabs, online topics or discussions if I had an online conversation going on, my news feed. I can put any RSS feed into here. My rewards tab is there as well. If you remember, I enabled diary. I have the ability to add a diary entry. Hello world. I go to done. There's that. I can go to my application settings where Life Metrics is enabled. The user also has the ability to turn it off at any time. My company website, my terms of service, feedback, and version. So in this case, it's time to start looking at surveys. Right now I've got no surveys available. Let's push one out. So I'm going to go back in to Survey Analytics, and I'm going to go to New Invitation. I'm going to do that new NPS survey again. New NPS for swipe. This email is not going to be relevant because I'm not ever going to push this out through an email. I can establish a number of points. I'm going to establish 5 points. I'm going to make the survey sticky. This is really important when you're online because this will make the survey stay on the device until I turn it off. I go to next step. In this case, I'm going to go to Greg B. I'm going to do an update count. I have 1. I'm going to go to next step. If you remember, originally I told you about this silent no email push. I want to select that because I do not want to send an email. I only want this survey to be pushed out to my mobile users. This email message just kind of tells me what's going on. I go to process delivery. I can go to view history. And in the background, you'll now see new NPS for swipe, completion rate 0. I'm going to refresh my page. Right there, the survey is now present. You now see the survey is there with the number of points. I go to new NPS. I see my question. I put it in there, and I go to done. The good news is that this survey is sticky, so I can take it over and over again. I can see the completed results as well. It's going to call up a web view, or Second Prism, our native data visualization tool. In this case, so we're going to focus on SurveySwipe. I had 5 points associated with that survey. Let's go look at rewards and points. I now have 15 points. Remember, I had 10 before. This is SurveySwipe. You've watched me create an online panel, establish member profiles, load panelists, have panelists join online, or load them myself. You've seen me push out surveys that are available on the online panel via email, or also push directly to the mobile application, SurveySwipe. Obviously, there's a lot more that we can do with this application and with our tool set. And in future videos, I'll be able to expand on each of those functionalities in more detail. And obviously, as you're watching this, I'd really encourage you to add any feedback or comments into the boxes below, so that way we can reach out to you and talk about your needs in more detail. Thank you very much.